passionate voice in this discussion. Let's hear an educationist. I've heard all of you. I think it's only fair that somebody who's in the business of education, yes, Mr. Saravanan, I know you want to come in, but since Mr. Parekh has been waiting for a long time, let's hear him out also on what exactly is the issue with the national education policy, that there is resistance from certain states. Mr. Parekh, go ahead, sir.
Afrida, first let us understand that this is a policy, it's not a law.
Yes.
Policy, by the word, means it is in a way recommending, but not something that is forced down your throat. Second, I feel education is something which you cannot force down on somebody. That person has to be willing and person has to embrace it. Third, I feel that if you are saying that this is good for you, you need to believe also that the other person who you think it is good for also understands his own good. And I feel that on that, what Tamil Nadu needs to keep in mind is that the students of Tamil Nadu should not have any adverse impact on their mobility if they go out in other parts of India, because India is finally, a union. And therefore, if a Tamil Nadu boy or girl, based on whatever they adopt as their policy, goes out and comes to Gujarat, they should not be at a disadvantage, or there should not be a challenge for them to do so. And also globally, our students finally, can be global citizens tomorrow. So we need to align our education policy, keeping all this in mind. And I feel that political consideration should be totally at the backbench. And because it is a concurrent subject, and Afrida, you have pointed it out right, that it is concurrent means both state and center together. If there is a conflict, of course, center can push it down. But I feel at times what is your right to do, is it right for you to do? That is some kind of a moral obligation that any person or a bigger entity has. So it might be right, my right to do it, but whether it would be right. This government has already done very consultative kind of discussions in GST. They brought all the states together, discussed it endlessly. Now, discussing it endlessly and hearing all the states out always is time consuming. At times
that's
it could
the
be
point,
frustrating.
Mr. Parekh. I want to give you the last word on this. The idea is to take the country forward. The idea is to have an integrated approach. Is the concept of having a national education policy itself a flawed idea, or do you think such a thing should be there and must be there?
I think national education policy is a good idea. But as I told you, that let there be a policy with flexibility. Our states in India are as big as some of the countries in Europe or other countries that we're talking about. So if there is a flexibility for them to kind of fine-tune the policy to their own requirement, of course, state and center needs to do it together. So state, if it has any reservation, I think center could have these kind of discussions in Tamil Nadu. And if Tamil Nadu party is not ready to go to Delhi or boycott such discussions, there has to be an atmosphere where the dialogue can happen. And in that, I think the responsibility is of the person who is more powerful. In this case, the central government needs to come to the state government, enroll them, encourage them. It is like my going to my child, if the child is not ready to listen to something which I feel is good for the child. And I think in that approach, once it is done, national education policy is the step in the right direction. But if you have 5-6 states opposing that, then how national it is? We don't want something which is national, but say 6-7 states not fully appreciating that. So I think to that extent, drafting a good policy is one, but making it national so that every state embraces it is another point.
It is a huge challenge for